So here we are in beautiful Portugal. I've got a little bit of time on my hands before I fly back to the UK. So I just wanted to do a quick blog about what's happening in the car industry and why you should not buy an electric car. First of all, the European and American car industry has been, for over 100 years, making fantastic cars. We've been using diesel, which is a superb fuel, and gasoline, petrol, and this has worked really well. The trouble is now, because of emission standards and because of the woke left-wing, climate change brigade, governments are trying to force us or encourage us to buy electric cars. This is going to do two things. Number one, it's going to hand the Chinese a massive advantage because they can produce these electric cars far cheaper than Western countries can. And because they've got the second mover advantage, that is to say that they could never produce internal combustion engine cars as well as European or American car companies or Japanese car companies, because they haven't had that experience, they can now move more quickly into electric manufacturing. A lot of the motors, batteries, components will be manufactured in China, even for electric cars made in Europe or America or Japan. And it's going to give them a huge price advantage. They're already looking at undercutting European car manufacturers by quite a lot. And this is going to decimate the job market for car component manufacturers in Europe and America. Companies like Bosch, Getrag, ZF, who make the gearboxes, Alfred Teves, who make braking systems, Brembo, Magneti Marelli, all these massive companies that make the components, the electrical components, the fuel injection systems, the brakes, the gearboxes, and the engines. Companies like Marley, who make the best pistons. These companies are going to go out of business, and it's going to cost thousands, if not millions, of jobs around the world. But the petroleum companies aren't stupid, and they're not going to give up so easily. And what you're going to find is, as more people buy electric cars, buses, lorries, and vans, the price of petrol and diesel drops, and that's a huge advantage for us who still like to drive petrol or diesel vehicles. The other thing is, I think the Western governments will eventually see the error of their ways. And if they haven't already thought of this, what they will realize is better to let China, India, Africa, South America, Southeast Asia go electric, because that leaves a lot more fuel for the rest of us to consume. Let those countries invest in the infrastructure, let them go completely electric, and then start to heavily tax electric vehicle production that enters Europe or the American market. So companies like BYD and the other big Chinese manufacturers will have huge tariffs imposed on them, and they won't be able to sell electric vehicles in Europe competitively. And I think that's probably why a lot of the governments aren't investing in the charging infrastructure. Because the other thing you've got to remember is, if everybody's charging an electric vehicle at nighttime, buses, trucks, vans, cars, scooters, the demand for electricity at nighttime is going to be astronomical. And the infrastructure won't be able to cope. And it's going to probably push up the cost of domestic electricity. So whatever you save by running an electric car in terms of not paying for the fuel, you're going to pay on your electricity bill. The other thing is, depreciation on electric cars is horrific, because big car rental companies like Six don't want them anymore because customers don't want to hire them. They're far too much trouble when you hire an electric car, especially when you're on holiday and you want to charge it quickly. You can't get on a charging point. I had the experience in Stockholm this year when I had a VW ID3. Couldn't get on a charging point because all the taxi drivers were on the charging points while they were having their lunch break or dinner break. And very expensive to charge. It cost us more to run the ID3 on electric than it would have if we had hired a diesel car. And the other thing is, you've got to remember, electric cars are no good for towing if you've got a caravan or a boat or a trailer, because when you tow, the range drops quite a lot, maybe by 30%. And the other thing is, when you want to refuel it, if you've got a trailer on the back, you can't just drive into a electric charging point like you could with a normal car. You drive into a petrol station with your trailer on the back, fuel up and drive out. With an electric car, you'd have to find somewhere to leave the trailer, unhook it, hope it doesn't get stolen, then charge the electric vehicle, then hook up again, and then drive off. And it's going to take you hours to charge, or you're on a fast charger, maybe half an hour to 45 minutes. So if that in that time your trailer doesn't get stolen, you're very lucky. So the other thing is just looking at what Jaguar are doing now. Huge mistake. They have ceased production of internal combustion engine cars, and they've launched this new woke logo, a rebranding for their new electric vehicle. Couple of things. It's going to cost over £100,000. So that immediately makes me realize that Jaguar have disowned and actually have no respect or loyalty towards their main customer base, which is like middle class families, the kind of people who would have bought Jaguars in the past, maybe bank managers, head teachers, doctors, these sorts of people who are probably in the market for cars, in the sort of £50,000 to £60,000 bracket. There's no way they're going to want to spend £100,000 on an electric car. That is going to depreciate really quickly. Now, by doing that, Jaguar, I think, have gone after the Bentley and Rolls-Royce type of customer who maybe can't quite afford a Bentley or a Rolls-Royce, that's in the £200,000 bracket. And they think, oh, well, I'll buy a Jaguar that's in the sort of same price range as a Range Rover, maybe £150,000. But what Jaguar have done is they've gone after the Chinese customers, the North American market, India, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East. The sorts of people who want maybe a Bentley or Rolls Royce. They've got a few already, and they want something else, another British marque, which has a great history. And they'll probably opt for a Jaguar. So at the risk of alienating their loyal customer base in Europe and North America, they're going after a different kind of buyer. Range Rover did it. I mean, under Tata ownership, Range Rover prices went through the roof for something that is quite unreliable. The engineering isn't that good. The interiors might be nice. There might be lots of leather and wood, but the actual bones of the vehicle, the engines, the gearboxes, the electrical systems aren't known for their reliability. They're not that good quality. Certainly, they're not in the same league as something like BMW or Toyota. And what they did was they realized very quickly that they can make a lot more money selling to, markets like Russia, China, India, branding those vehicles as a premium item. And to hell with their loyal customer base, the kind of people who would have actually used those vehicles to go off-road, farmers, off-road enthusiasts. I mean, they now can go to companies like Nissan or Toyota to get their cars, which are actually a lot better made, or Mitsubishi. So Range Rover have gone after the ultra-premium market. The cars cost way more than they're actually worth. I mean, to buy a Range Rover, I think you've got to be full. And that's what Jaguar are doing. But it's going to come back to haunt them, because as the rest of the world realised that electric propulsion is not the way forward, that probably in reality hybrids are the best balance, and I think Toyota have got that spot on with their hybrid drivetrains. They were actually doing a lot of research in Australia. They had a hybrid research centre just out of Brisbane that I noticed when I was there about 15 years ago, and I think their investment has paid dividends. Hybrid will be the way to go, and you can use those vehicles in the city, drive on battery powered, so there's zero emissions. And when you get out into the motorway on the countryside, you've got the reliability and the reassurance of having an internal combustion engine which won't let you down when the battery runs out. Also, the battery packs are a lot smaller, so the cars won't lose all their value when the battery packs need to be replaced. Because at the moment, any electric car, when the battery pack needs to be replaced, it's effectively finished. Nobody wants an electric car with a battery that's defective or out of warranty. And there is some talk as well about you actually being charged to recycle an electric vehicle. At the moment, if you scrap your car, you might get £500 or more in the UK if you scrap a car. Now, the talk is that they'll actually be charging you to scrap an electric vehicle. So really not a wise thing to do, to buy an electric vehicle. Aside from that, I think Jaguar are in big trouble. I think the new model will be delayed. It won't come out on time. And by the time they've released it to the market, their loyal customers would have moved on. So thanks to Tata, they've effectively ruined Jaguar. And I see Land Rover are going to have the same problems too, because they want to release the new electric Range Rover, all electric Range Rover, but that's been delayed as well. And they're doing it at a time when, to be honest with you, I think the trend or the fad towards electric vehicle, the tide is turning, and people won't want them.